Hello folks. Well, we're gonna do what everybody dreads doing one more time here. We're gonna do a live demonstration. We had some folks out Saturday from some other places, and they were talking about their way of training, and there were a lot of things that they mentioned that they hadn't seen before, and that they don't, and the one thing that is a pet peeve of mine is handling this leash. It's also a pet peeve of Scott's. We'll go into that. So we're going to do one right now the way I have all our customers hold their leash. This is what, this is what I got working patrol dogs, doing labor strikes and things of this nature where you have to use your dog going through crack houses for apartment chains. There's a right and a wrong way, and there's a reason for handling the leash the way we handle it. So first, let me go over the one thing that I'm a pet peeve about. We all use a standard 6-foot leather leash. The reason we use leather is because if you've got a dog who's really going after somebody and you're holding it in your hand and it's nylon, before the night's over, you're going to have blisters on your hands. So we use a leather. This leash is probably 20 years old, and it's softer than a baby's behind. It's nice. So this is what we use with everybody. We're going to have Joey, who's apprenticing with Scott to be our future next bad boy, getting bit. This is Judy, one of our Western Shepherds. How old is Judy, Joe?
She's 2.
2-year-old Western Shepherd. Now, you can look at it this way: when you're going to fight, and I know that most people, especially in the Schützen clubs, have people start off back tying their dog for safety's sake. And I agree, but the handler being apart from the get-go is a major help or part of getting a really good protection dog. And here's how you're going to safely hold the dog so your agitator or decoy doesn't get bit. Joey's facing me right now, and what he's going to do, we've got the loop goes over your strong hand. I'll stand side feet together. Loop goes over your strong hand. You're right-handed, okay? You're going to, with the same foot on the same side, you're going to step back a step. So put your right foot behind you, step back. Now you're sitting in what would be a modified forward stance if you were doing karate, or a good stance if you were, any martial art, boxing, whatever. So the loop is around your wrist, and it's coming out your thumb. Your other hand is going to be down, drop your hand. It's going to be palm up. But notice this one little thing: when you close your fist around it, the leash is coming out. Thank you, baby. She gave me a kiss. The leash is coming out past your thumb. So for protection training, your leash always comes out past your thumb. For obedience, it'll come out past your little finger. So now, this other hand, let her walk out to the end of the leash. Jude, slack on it. You never tighten. Your elbow is against your side, and that is your anchor arm. That's what you're holding with. The front hand is a guide. If you're at a labor strike with picketers running back and forth, they will, one or two of them, try to distract the dogs over here, the other run over here. You may need to move the dog's focus. And you're going to do that with this left hand. It's going to guide your dog. If 2 burglars try to come rob you, and one tries to come up from the side, you're going to guide your dog with this hand. And you're going to have this one anchoring, keeping your dog safe. We'll go into the other benefits of this when we get inside. Hey, Scott, you want to see if Miss Judy will demonstrate for us?
I can try.
I better move out the way, Joey said. I can see I was in what they would normally call on the firing range the line of fire. That would be it. Uh-oh, she sees him. And this is not proper behavior. She should be calm. We're going to let her get away with it tonight, but normally we wouldn't. And there's your alert command. Now, you see how she's lunging forward? You see what kind of bite we get out of our Western Shepherds?
You need more grubbing now. Back.
Now you can pull back.
See, watch the leash
if you were to
tension,
pull
Butch.
the guy on his feet. And now he's going to pull back. Go with him, Joe.
Come.
Now this is one of the exercises that we do to increase the bite pressure. And there's your release, you're out, your control. And we like to give them a little reward bite at the end.
Yes.
So, can you get a close up of that bite, Carol-Ann? Whoops. All right. So, we're going to go inside where there's not as much extra noise, and we're going to discuss this. You ready to go, Carol-Ann? All right. You get the door, I'll get the tripod.
Yeah.
All right. All right, that's Miss Carol-Ann. She's going for the door. Oh, yeah. Whoops, and a hail of bullets and boom, 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 and dust flying every which way. Now we're going to go to our little rickety trailer. Whoa, Judy beat me to it. All right. Now we're back in familiar territory. Grab yourself a chair, Mr. Joey. Can I give you a mic, Scott?
Yes. Yep. Well, this, you don't get to say much, but, you can actually, when the dog was at the end of the leash, Joey wasn't moving. Everything was stable, which gave me the opportunity. I just walked in for a bite. That didn't work up or nothing. Just wanted to demonstrate the leash, right?
Right.
But usually, you work a dog back and forth. When you first pass in, the dog's at the end of the leash. He's where his starting position is. I know exactly where that dog is.
Right.
So then I can actually, okay, now I know where my boundaries are, right? Point A, point B.
Right.
Then you can start working and focusing on what you're doing. The dog hasn't moved. You can't get past that point. Then you can actually, it's better for me, it's better for the dog, it's better for everybody.
Yeah.
Now you got people that move. If you're coming in on a Schützen pass or whatever, to catch him, and the dog's moved up 1.5 feet, that throws everything off.
Right.
It throws the presentation off. You can jam the dog. You can get bit. A lot of different things.
Yeah.
And the dog, and the leash loosens up or anything else. The dog loses focus. And there's a new umbilical cord, right? The cord, that's a big part of it. It's team effort. But that leash, the dog feels you with that leash. Everything you're feeling, what you're doing, even how the slight tendencies of how you're moving that leash. Mm-hmm. The slightest twitch or tug, certain way, with practice, the dog will know what you're wanting or feel, oh, something's different here, I'm going this way. You can actually guide that dog with your guide hand.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can do that when you go walk your dog somewhere. You practice that. When you're walking him,
Good idea. Yeah.
you can actually just start moving your hand left or right, and the dog will know which way to turn.
One of the things that, like Scott's saying, he's talking about he knows exactly where the dog is. Because remember, the idea, and when you're working dogs for the street, there's differences, period. So I'm not saying this is the best way to do it or the only way to do it. It's the way we did it in the guard dog business. Okay, in the IGP, I think they now call it. They still, from what I understand, start most of their dogs off on a back tie. Until I'm assuming, I don't know this, I'm assuming the reason is the dog's biting and they know the handlers learned enough to hold them safely for everybody. So that's my assumption. That's why.
And if you're building your dog also, you can put them in the box.
Right.
On the tables or whatever, even back tied, and work them that way to build their bites up. There is good techniques for using a back tie, incorporated with the handler being present and using the handler also. So, back tie, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some situations where you get a big old dog and a little old lady holding that dog, you need a back tie anyway. But the lady, they're working together in tandem. It ain't just a back tie.
Right. And if you Well, you got to work the dog. That's the idea. The handler's not working the dog. He's working with the dog. The agitator's working the dog. And one of the main reasons dogs bite is frustration. One of the more common things I see, I don't understand it, so I'm not going to address it, but I see a lot of people, they'll hold their leash with one hand, and as the decoy or agitator, helper, whatever, comes up to the dog starts barking, and they'll start taking steps and going towards towards the agitator. For us, where we're wanting a dog who's really serious about taking somebody out, that mindset in the dog is achieved through frustration. Early on, wanting to get the decoy and not being able to get him makes the dog more intense. Simple as that. And as that man is coming towards the dog, that's the other thing. We start from 20 yards back, well, not 20, 10, 15 or so yards back, and work the dog up all the way. Y'all talk about, Scott calls it, I like it better, the windshield wiper system, going back and forth. We start from a distance back and work up towards the dog. Now, in any of the sports where you have a dog target oriented, there's not near as much potential hazard to the agitator as there is because the dogs are equipment oriented, period. So even if you screw up and get too close, if you're working an IGP3 dog, he's not going to see you drop the sleeve and go for your crotch. Ain't going to happen. He's going to go for the sleeve. So we're more safety aware in the guard dog business because we're working dogs that hopefully, when they're worked up, if you don't do it right, they may grab you by the ankle and jerk you on your bowhind. So it's an entirely different factor. For that reason, we want that handler holding that dog in such a manner as to make it almost impossible for that dog to move forward. Only thing we want the dog to do is move backwards. So the other thing you've got is, like Scott said, you and the dog are a team when we're working this sort of thing. This is how sensitive, and they call it the umbilical cord, the leash between you and the dog. Here's how sensitive they really can be. One of the first indications I ever had about dogs and leashes, I'll never forget. Way back when, I used to do these obedience classes for some sheriff's departments up in the Texas Panhandle. And we're up and doing one in Perryton, Texas. Hope you guys survived the wildfires. And there was a lady there. She was about 5'1", maybe. And she had an old English sheepdog. And I know they look cute and everybody thinks, wow, but they're herding dogs and they're tough. And when this dog was sitting next to her, his head would come up to about to her armpit. You know, he was a big old boy. And she couldn't get him to sit when she told him for nothing. Nothing. He'd get excited. He'd be standing beside her. He'd stand up. And so I said, well, you know, and this was, again, I had to learn a lot. This is my formative years. More formative. I hope they're still formative. I told her, I said, well, you're just not correcting him hard enough. He'll get the idea, so let's try this. The dogs were standing beside her, and I told her, I'm going to walk up, I'm going to reach around you, and I'm going to take a hold of your leash. And when I do, you say sit, and then I'm going to come out and correct it. Right? Worked good, right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Well, boy, there was 2 or 3 people in the line, and I'm down here, and I'm creeping up on her, and I got right to her, and I tap her on the shoulder, which is her signal to say sit. She says, "Sst," and I reached over and I grabbed that leash, and before she could get the rest of the it out of her mouth, this dog looked over his shoulder and planted his fanny. It was a loose leash. It wasn't even tight. It had, slack in it. And I just reached and touched it I just took a hold of it. And that's when I started thinking, there's something to this umbilical cord theory I've been hearing about. So what you are offering your dog when you're doing this kind of work is you're part of the team. how you maneuver and his feeling you on the end of that leash is what gives him confidence. When you saw this dog, when she hit the end of that leash, she was straining everything she had to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the other thing.
Not even worked up.
Right.
That's just a walk-in.
Yeah, that was without any agitation or
at all.
enticement. Yeah. So, and what you can do from there in your training is you have the dog hit the end of that leash, you pull back on them. This is what we call a slingshot. This is a modified slingshot. You start pulling them back as that agitator's coming in, and then you turn loose when that dog is at its when the hind end is down lower than the shoulders, and they're straining as far as they can this way. They're in maximum position. You turn loose of the leash, and this dog is going to spring like she's shot from a cannon, and she's going to go straight up and right towards this person's face, high center mass.
Yep.
We need you guys to explain exactly how the back tie works. Somebody had a question, like how you back tie them and how you put a leash on them and stuff. Can you explain that, please?
A physical back tie is real simple. I like to use, and people use, I don't like chains because they can rip their fur up. To me, I would like some sort of good spring. Garage door springs are great if you got really big dogs. Thick bungees also work great. I use trees. Typically they're made of 2x6s and 10, 12 foot long. You drive some fence posts in the ground. You put your posts up. You want your tie up about 3 feet higher than the average dog's back. Because when the dog gets out there, you don't want the leash going down their back if all of a sudden you get a big tall dog. So you want your leash to go up to give the dog clearance to move without tangling himself. Set that hook, like I said, a little bit higher up. You can put a garage door spring on this end and then and connect a plastic covered cable to the eye of the eye bolt that you've got driven into the tree or the board, whatever you're doing. And you're going to run it down this way and also have a snap on this end. Plastic covered cables work great and they'll last forever. You can use a bungee. We've had big old thick bungees.
Yeah. That's
we had these. Dave Klimek, one of my dear friends, one of the best horseshoers in the country, and trying to be the best dog trainer in the country, bought me some. I don't know. They use them in horse trailers.
big old horse bungees.
And they're about what was it, 1.5 inches?
Almost 2 inches.
Almost 2 inches thick, all bungee.
Yeah.
And he brought me several that he put a loop in, and we use them.
They're great.
Yeah, until you get a
130-pound shepherd.
Was it no? Was
It
it Shepherd?
was Samson.
Oh, Samson did it over here.
Yes.
And Borble did it to you.
And the
over there,
Borble did it over there, yeah.
Even those 2-inch bungees can be broke. Ask Scott. He went bang at the end of that summit, and and he just kept on going.
Oh.
Your next question is when you tied the dog to the back tie, where's the handler?
Okay, so this is a two prong here. Okay. So if you got a handler that's not listening to you and not being a tree, and it's for safety purposes, and to show the handler how to work it, you go to the back tie, you back tie the dog, the handler will go ahead and leash up and stand to one side, preferably the right side, and the bungee's long enough where you can adjust it to where when you're at the end of the 6-foot leash, the bungee works the same way, right? So the handler will stand there on the leash and actually like they're working the dog.
Yeah, give commands and everything.
Give commands, same thing as they would, but then they learn how to stand and everything else without detriment to the decoy, and it helps them out, basically.
Yeah.
So they're there right next to the dog, giving the commands and everything. Or you can have it to where the dog is just back tied, but I usually like to have the handler there.
Yeah, you should have the handler be a part of the whole deal.
That's on a low tie, but if you're doing a table tie, or a box tie, I call it, on a box, which is, usually the 40, 50-pound dogs,
right.
pits, males, young dogs, you can put them in the box and back tie them, and handler can still be there, but all the control is coming through the bungee.
Yeah. So you can, as a handler, because it's going to be important for you to be directing the dog. Think about this. We want our dog to protect us. We raised this dog from a puppy. He looks to us as
Yeah.
daddy,
Yeah.
pack leader forever and ever. If you went into a pool room and some big old biker walked up and said, "That's my game next," and shoved your quarters off the table, would your dad expect you, if you're 12 years old, to go whoop the biker? Or no, that's daddy's job, and the dogs look to you as the same way. So it's not that I'm protecting daddy; it's that daddy and I are a team, and we're both working for the pack. For those of you who like to use the expression pack drive, very simple. There's a pack responsibility, is what I like to call it, that dogs have. And this will give you a chance safely to work a rookie handler. For all you agitators and trainers out there, set your back tie up, let that handler put the leash on, and work the dog any way you want. You have a lot of safety. It's an umbilical cord, and the handler getting there encouraging the dog is going to go right down, and if the person's nervous, the dog's going to feel that. So it's really a work of control, or I don't know the right word.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine training without it.
No, and we talk about building a bond with your dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, thanks, Judy. Regardless if you're walking your dog, you're building a bond when you walk your dog, right? You're building a bond with your dog when you're at the house. You're building a bond with your dog when you're working it in this manner.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and that bond goes a long way. Another thing is the dog feels your emotions through that leash. Say what you will, I believe it's true. That's what I've seen it, right? You get a handler that's just starting out, the dog is nervous, the dog turns on stop, doesn't know, the handler doesn't remember to stand still like a tree, because you're telling them 10 different things, right? But actually stand this way, hold the leash this way, and be a tree. Lean on your back foot, so your equilibrium's on your back foot, so if you don't have weight on your front foot, because you will flip over, because you know how equilibrium works, right?
Yes.
It's like a pendulum.
Unless you're a weeble, then you'll just wobble.
So after a while, and I'm talking from experience, I was the worst handler in the world.
Yeah, you didn't root your feet in the ground.
No, I kept moving. I did.
Yeah.
And the dog would jump out, and the decoys, they didn't like it. Because that big son of a gun would come out, and they're like, whoa. I'm like, okay, so learn how to do, but it's like there's a lot, your nerves, you're like, oh my God, you're excited, your nerves are going, you're overthinking it. That's what the back tie helps with. You can actually start them off on the back tie. There's no pressure. But you're building that bond because you don't ever want to have to use that, but it builds a bond to where that dog will know exactly what you want him to do. Once you guys get in the routine of doing it, he'll know he's supposed to sit there. He'll know. He'll feel you through the leash. And you can just talk like this and say, out. And you say, heel. And the dog can hear you, and the dog can feel it. Just tug, tug, pop, pop. I'm serious. You don't even have to say nothing. The dog will actually just put your hand motions or how you position that leash. A little slack in the leash for an out, a little out, out, and it works great. And gets to a point where your confidence, you're confident, you're building your own confidence, and you're building a dog's confidence, because now you're together in a strange environment doing a strange thing, but all of a sudden, we're here, I'm 2 miles away, I know I'm going, I stand there, leash me up, he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And it gets easier and easier and easier. Mm-hmm. But in public, and all of a sudden something happens to you in public, you know what to do. You know exactly what you got to do. You see that whatever's happening, and if you got to alert your dog, God forbid you got to alert him. Because, people thought my dog's a protection dog. Well, you just always send the dog out? You never ever just, or something happens, you're in a store or Home Depot and you come around the corner, there's another dog there that's aggressive. Or your dog takes off. You know exactly how you can, boom, okay. You reel him in, what you got to do, but the dog, handling's a big deal. I believe it.
Yeah.
Because you can see the change in the handler, you see the change in the dog.
And there's something that, one reason, there's something called handler hypnosis. This is for all you agitators out there, decoys. Like I said, we work dogs in a different way. It's not about biting the sleeve or biting the armpit. It's about taking out a man. So when you get some guy, men are the worst about this. We call it handler hypnosis. I'm sure a bunch of you helpers and decoys have seen this. Some guys get out here and get so excited.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in this room has seen it. They're all shaking their heads. Yeah, yeah. And we all have someone in mind. They get the first time their dog goes, "Wah, wah, wah, wah," and goes out to the end of the leash. They just kind of go. You can see their eyes. It glazes over. They go into this hypnotic state, and it's going. My dog's gonna kill somebody. And remember, we said the rule to the handler is be a tree. Don't move forward because we got to know where the dog is because we're coming this way. We don't want him to meet us up here, you know. We got to know where he is so we can properly work him. And they're going, yeah, yeah. And you're coming in innocently, you know, and it's a new pup. Maybe we're just working with a sack. You ain't got a scratch pants on. You ain't got a suit on. Heaven forbid in the beginning to start out look that big. And so all of a sudden you look up and you notice when I started, the dog was back there. Now the dog is right here. And you look up and you see this glazed look, and they're staring right at their dog.
Mesmerized.
Literally.
Yep.
And I know y'all think I'm making funny faces and exaggerating. Am I exaggerating, Scott?
No, because you got to watch. You know, you learn about people moving forward and whatnot, and how to handle these situations. All of a sudden you look and it's very smooth too. It's not like they're just totally infatuated with that damn dog. And when the dog bites, we moved. And when the dog bites, it loses it. It's just no, hey, out your dog. Hey, wait, nothing.
And
which is it is what it is.
These are the ones where and all you can do is yell at them. And Scott, I don't know about Joey. See, we've had some doozy. I mean, we've had some. I can remember. I'm not going to say any form of name, but the old boy that had the Malinois, who was in all the security, and literally walked halfway across the field as I'm backing up, saying, "Hold your dog, hold your dog."
He was holding them all right.
So, you know, teach your handlers the right way to hold a leash. Remind them that they're a major part of the whole.
It's a big deal.
The whole training.
I mean,
you can't do it without them.
I mean, we come out here and start. We'll go through it a few times. You know, I'll get Caroline or I'll get Butch, and we'll go ahead and just do the whole spiel about. And it's not a spiel. It's a whole. How you hold the dog. Lesson this. Mm-hmm. Then we start.
Yep.
Then we got to stop and say, "Hold on a minute. Let's try this again." So it's all about the dogs, right? But it's all about the handler too, because you're a team.
Yep.
And if you don't prepare the handler for real life situations, the dog's ready, it can get ugly.
They can screw up in real life.
I mean, someone could get stupid there.
Oh yeah. So.
But anyway, so.
Yeah. And so we got people inquiring. We train on Saturday morning. We sure welcome you. I don't know. I was going to do some point it was. What do you think, Joe? You got anything to add? Say loud.
Everyone come out Saturday.
Yeah, fun, and
Weather's getting nicer.
we actually try to teach, and everybody gets something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of the people, they're nervous because, you know, we're all watching and they don't actually hear the direction, so I gotta repeat it and let them know I'm not trying to be mean. I need you to do this.
Yeah.
You need to listen to me.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's fun watching. For me, I love watching the people.
but you know, it's just a big deal. Emphasize, you know, and I can't emphasize it enough. You know, whether you got a 100-pound dog or if you got a 50-pound dog, it doesn't matter. It's still got to be in. It's basically all the same, right? The handling's the same because once you get it procured a certain way, it works.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. It works. Because when you start doing exercises like jumping out from behind buildings and whatnot to spook your dog, that's when those tests come in on these scenarios we do.
Yeah, exactly. That's when you'll see the value.
That's another reason for those scenarios is for those damn situations. Because, you know, out here, you're inside a pen, a yard, it's a controlled environment. But take it outside the controlled environment and you'll be happy you learned how to hold your dog.
Yeah.
I just really a big I'm big on that, believe it or not.
Scott does home break-ins too, if you want to. We got any more questions down there, Carol Ann?
No, sir. We're good.
We're good.
I don't break into houses.
All right, folks. No, he kicks in the front door.
For a fee, I'll do that.
For a fee.
For a fee.
For a fee, he'll kick in your front door.
Yeah, that's right.
I know several burglars trying to get in on that racket. All right, what do you think, Mr. Sinclair?
I think that just become a teammate with your dog, build a bond. It's about you guys, but in the end, it's all about the dogs, right? We'll talk to y'all next week.
See you next week,
See ya.
folks.